So first, I want to cover a critical piece of legislation that provides important rights. So if you go back to 2004, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act states that to ensure that all children with disabilities have available to them a free and appropriate public education that emphasizes special education and related services designed to meet their unique needs and prepare them for further education, prepare them for employment, and prepare them for independent living. So, my journey in high school. Before high school, I was diagnosed with learning disabilities, several learning disabilities, and cerebral palsy at age 15. In high school, I was a B student and benefited from the special school district resource room sports. But there were definite challenges, albeit academically, socially, and emotionally. My IEPs only had academic goals written into them, but didn't have any job or independent living goals. Although I had attended my IEP meetings, I was not actively writing goals for myself. My family and I really didn't understand how we needed to be more engaged in the transition planning process with a special school district. The transition tools that students have today were not widely used when I was in high school. I don't know if they were even known at that point. So, further, going on late in my junior year, I was connected to vocational rehabilitation. I wasn't sure what I wanted for a job or what I would be good at, but because I had done cadet teaching earlier in high school, I thought I wanted to become a teacher and wrote that as my job goal in my IPE or individualized plan for employment. I took a career assessment test which did suggest any practical jobs for my abilities, but it did suggest that being a teacher wasn't the best fit for me. I did not engage in pre-eds, pre-employment transition services through VR. Honestly, I don't recall this being offered to me then. So my journey after high school, the lack of good fit job opportunities after high school led me to attend college. Luckily, I was prepared to take this step. I went to Papa University and graduated with a Bachelor's of Social Work. After I graduated, the available social work jobs were primarily in rural areas or direct care roles, which did not work well with my strengths. I knew I didn't want to go back and get a master's degree. So I went back to Vera for more assessments, trainings, and applying for jobs. After almost 2 years of searching, I was so frustrated and scared. I even considered working in a shelter workshop. A shelter workshop, for those who do not know, typically doesn't pay minimum wage and is in a segregated setting away from other people. But then my employment specialist finally became aware of my current job at ServiceSource. So for you, my transition planning tips for you all. Create a version of yourself as early as possible. Know yourself, your unique abilities, your opinions, qualities, and preferences. Practice self-determination by writing IEP goals that start with "I will" and are employment focused. Begin working with BR at age 16. Use Missouri connections seen here and create an individualized clear academic plan, also known as an ICAP. Have a thorough age-targeted assessment. Ask your VR counselor to use the transition assessment toolkit seen on the right on this slide. Ask your parents to help you explore jobs in your area. Learn how to use public transportation and other transportation supports. Don't rely on your IEP team to guide you. You and your parents need to be very active in the IEP transition process. Make sure your parents are very involved in developing a detailed plan in Form C, also known as a transition plan. And also understand vocational rehabilitation's role in detail by using the RAISE guide, also seen here on your right. The transition plans should answer a couple key big questions, such as what are my strengths, where do I want to live, who can support my goals after graduation, what do I need to improve upon, who is in my circle of support, what are my interests, do I need to go to college, and how can I manage my health after graduation. So this slide gives examples of well-crafted transition goals. I'll let you read through these. More transition planning tips I can pass on to you. Use your pre-employment transition services free ads through your VR counselor. For example, the Summer Skills program through PICWAD or the Summer Work Experience through various VR agencies. Following the vocational rehabilitation school to work checklist provided here. Working and volunteering while you're still in school. People who work in high school are 2.5 times more likely to get a job after graduating. So when starting to work with VR, don't let your IPE or individualized plan for employment limit your search. So for example, I selected a teacher, but had no idea about customer service, administration, or digital services, all of which I use on a daily basis at my job today. Assessments should include real world situations, including job shadowing and job tryouts. So I've been provided Missouri DB 101 using this website. This online tool proves that working is the best financial outcome for everybody, no matter your status or your journey in life. Does anybody have any questions?
Oh my goodness, I have lots of questions, but I'm going to pull up. You said a couple things that were just so important. I want to emphasize the idea of experiencing work while you're in high school. I think a lot of families automatically say we're going to go for an extended school year, or it's really important for us to have a family vacation. But I think you've got to think through what your long-term goals are and look at those summer opportunities, because we really are rich now in different programs that meet those needs. And some of them are very rigid about time commitments and others aren't. And you can also do it as just a free agent, get a summer job where you know you want to take a couple weeks off. Um, I think it can be hard for students to feel like they're empowered to speak up at their IEP and create goals. How would you approach that if you were a high school student?
Well, like I said before, yourself, advocate for yourself, know your personality, your strengths, your weaknesses. As I know, everybody has strengths and everybody has weaknesses. You may not know them all because you're so focused on yourself. So ask others on what their perspective of you is, and when they think of what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses are. Linda, do you have anything to add on that?
No, but I think I would just say, in addition to what the student can do, a parent might be able to encourage their child more to come in and feel safe in that environment, and maybe practice outside of the IEP meeting, writing goals, or how would you speak in an IEP meeting to help that student feel just a little bit more empowered when they get in there.
Those are great answers. And just a reminder to all of our folks listening that Charting the Life course tools are free and available to all of you, and they're a great kind of starting place for planning. You also got some shout outs for the I will statements, that was really a nice thing for people to think about, that they could frame things in that way. That was really empowering to say, I'll take responsibility for this. I'm going to let you go on. I just want to say that I want to reiterate what you said about IPE goals, because I've sat in those transition planning meetings, and it's not enough to say you want to work full time in a field of your interest and explore things. They want you to say, I want to be a teacher, I want to be a construction worker. And even though you're identifying that because that's the rule with the transition plan, it doesn't mean all the skills you're learning while you're still in school should be applicable to a wide range of jobs. So thanks for pointing out that it's still an exploratory time.
Right, it is, and and sometimes you have to have one, if not two or three things you're focusing on or keyed in on. So like maybe you want to become a teacher as your first main goal. Well, maybe your second main goal could be a clerical assistant, or maybe your third or second goal could be being a maintenance worker. I have no idea. But
Yeah.
I think you'll get my drift there.
Absolutely. And I think that's something that's just changed over time. You know, the average adult has at least 7 careers and jobs over their lifetime. So you want to be building big skills. Thanks,
Yeah.
Michael.